So, what would it actually take for a smaller, less advanced Navy to challenge a supercarrier? Well, it might sound like science fiction, but it's a very real strategy called asymmetric warfare. Today, we're going to break down a really fascinating tactical scenario to see just how a modern-day David could, in theory, take on a naval Goliath. Here's how we're going to walk through it. Think of it like a four-part orchestra of an attack. We'll start with the big picture strategy, and then get into the four key phases: finding the target, firing the first shot, unleashing a massive swarm attack, and then, finally, delivering that decisive blow. So, let's start with the big question. How do you even begin to challenge a naval behemoth? Well, the answer is asymmetry. You don't try to match their firepower one for one. No way. You completely change the rules of the game. At its heart, asymmetric warfare is all about refusing to fight on your opponent's terms. You don't meet strength with strength. Instead, you hunt for their specific weaknesses and you exploit them ruthlessly. You turn their greatest assets, like being a gigantic ship that creates a huge radar signature, into their biggest liabilities. And this right here, this quote really gets to the heart of it all. The goal isn't necessarily some dramatic sinking you see in the movies. It's about achieving what's called a mission kill, basically neutralizing the carrier's advantages and making all its expensive, advanced tech totally irrelevant through smart, unconventional tactics. Okay, so that brings us to the very first phase of the attack: find and fix. Because before you can hit anything, you have to know exactly where it is. And in the vastness of the open ocean, that's the first and maybe the most critical challenge. In this scenario, the finding is done by this whole network of assets working together. You've got long-range drones like the Mahajir 6 giving you eyes in the sky. At the same time, you have powerful over-the-horizon radars on the ground that can spot ships from hundreds of miles away. Put them together, and you've got this layered, constant surveillance net. And the whole point of all of this, the one objective, is to get a constant, unwavering radar lock. We're not talking about a single ping on a screen. No, this is a persistent, non-stop track that is feeding targeting data to every single weapon system that's on standby. Literally, the entire plan hinges on this one piece of information. All right, once the target is locked, it's time for the opening shot. But what's so interesting about this phase is that the goal isn't to land some knockout punch right away. Not at all. This is all a setup. The real objective here is to saturate the Aegis combat system, which is, one of the most advanced naval defense systems on the planet. The whole idea is to just throw so many threats at it so fast that you completely overwhelm its ability to track and shoot down everything. You're basically creating a 5-alarm fire for its defenders. And the tools for this job are these things called anti-ship ballistic missiles, weapons like the Hali-Fars and the Hormuz 2. These ship hunters are just incredibly fast, and they come down on their targets from a super high angle. And dealing with that threat forces all the carrier's defenses to look up, which leaves them completely vulnerable to what's about to come next, from every other direction. And what's coming next is the main event, the overwhelming swarm. While the entire carrier group is distracted, looking up at that ballistic missile threat, a massive, complex, and totally coordinated attack is launched from the sea, from the air, and from under the water. So how does this plan propose to actually take down such a powerful ship? Well, it's not with some single magic bullet. It's death by 1,000 cuts, by hitting it from the air, from the surface, and from below the waves, all at the exact same time. This swarm is broken down into 4 distinct attack paths, or vectors. From the surface, you have a fleet of hundreds of small, fast attack boats. From the air, you have waves of suicide drones. From beneath the waves, you have stealthy submarines moving in. And to top it all off, you trap the target by deploying sea mines to block any chance of escape. Now this is where it gets really clever, because each part of this swarm has a very specific job. The fast boats, they're firing cruise missiles to overwhelm the ship's last-ditch defenses. The suicide drones, like the Shahed, they're not even aiming for the hull. They're targeting the ship's eyes and ears, the radars and communication dishes. Meanwhile, the subs are firing smart torpedoes at the hull below the waterline, and the sea mines are making sure the ship can't run. It's a perfectly coordinated assault designed to disable, not just destroy. And all of that chaos brings us to the final act, Phase 4, the decisive blow. So picture it. The carrier group is now damaged, it's disoriented, its defenses are totally saturated, and its escape route is cut off. It has been perfectly set up for the final strike. The end game here is just methodical. With the target slowed down and its defenses crippled, hidden missile launchers along the coast suddenly reveal themselves. And now they have a much, much easier target to hit. This is when the real heavy hitters finally come out to play. And those final weapons are long-range cruise missiles, things like the Hader and the Abu Mahi. They're fired from these hidden launchers on land, and they fly low and fast over the water to strike the wounded ship and deliver the final blow. And this right here is the crucial outcome of the whole scenario. The goal was never to actually sink the carrier, it was to get that mission kill. By destroying its flight deck, by wrecking its key systems, you take away its entire reason for being there. It can no longer launch its aircraft. The supercarrier is now just a very large, very damaged ship, and its battle group is forced into a confused retreat. Mission failed. And all of this leaves us with a really fundamental question to think about. This whole scenario is just a theoretical exercise in asymmetry, but it's designed to show how a technological advantage can be neutralized. It really makes you wonder, in the great chess game of modern warfare, what's the deciding factor? Is it having the most advanced, most expensive pieces on the board, or is it knowing exactly how to use them?